Cameron Brown. Okay. Not ready. My name is Cameron Brown. I am a local historian with the local history museum here in Wimbledon. And of course this place here is of very great importance to us in the history of Wimbledon. The tennis, as you know, started in the late 19th century, moved here in 1922. And it's often been said that if some of the players from way back in 1922 turned up here, they would recognize the place. It's changed a lot, but there is a lot about it that is still very similar, including the fact that people like me have to wear a tie when they come in here, which not many people out on the streets do. Give me a clue.
Okay. I'm interested in recent history, since I'm born in new era.
Okay. The last 25 years have been a period of very great change here. I can remember when Björn Borg was playing in the finals here. My own daughter at the age of 15 would walk up from school in Wimbledon. She would wait outside the door at 4 o'clock, 4:30, be able to take tickets from people coming out, walk in and see Björn Borg, McEnroe, Jimmy Connors, all of the big names. Like everywhere now, it's become a more serious business enterprise. It's quite difficult to get tickets, they're quite expensive, the kids can't just turn up anymore and walk in. But it's become a much more comfortable place to visit. It's a much more modern place. I was lucky enough to be here myself the first time the roof was used over Centre Court a couple of years ago. And that was a very exciting experience and very, very different from the old days where the rain would stop play in a typical English summer.
Tell us something about things that still exist, like 100 years before. What's the same? Except rain and weather.
Except rain. Okay. I suppose amongst the things that have not changed over the last 100 years is that it's a genuine... Sorry, stop that. That's wrong. Amongst the things that have not changed over the last 100 years is obviously the excitement of a great sporting event in England. The most respected world tennis event, and it's not often that we in England have the finest sporting event in any particular category, so we enjoy it. And of course the other thing that has not changed is many of the traditions of the place. The strawberries and cream that cost you as much money as a normal lunch would cost you in an English pub, the gentlemen wearing their straw hats, people like me wearing my club ties to show the clubs we belong to in England. Very, very traditional and not kept up in many more places than Wimbledon. And it's one of the reasons that we all enjoy coming here.
Can you tell us how the club started? Or why is this tournament started?
Yeah, the club started as a croquet club. I don't know how familiar you are in Croatia with croquet, but it's a game that really is only played on the lawns of grand English country houses these days. But back in 1868, it was the All England Croquet Club. And in 1874, when the precursor of the modern form of lawn tennis was invented, the club started to become the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club, and had its first championship in 1877, and dropped the croquet from the championships around the 1890s, the mid-1890s. At the time, it was not here. It was about a mile away across the other side of Wimbledon, and was a very small court. There were no seating. People would come and stand to watch, or they'd come in on their horse and cart, and they'd sit in the back of the carriage or the back of the cart and watch the game from that. And of course the players were amateurs in those days. There's a nice story of one of the earlier champions bringing his bottle of champagne onto the court with him to have a drink between the rounds. Or another one who was a priest in the Church of England, who went home halfway through the championships to preach a sermon on the Sunday, and then came back the next week and won the championships. So it became, I think, increasingly professionalized when it moved here in the 1920s. though it didn't become a fully professional sport until many, many years later.
Can you tell us something about last Brit that won?
Gosh, the last Brit who's won this tournament was Fred Perry. Back in the 1920s, the Brits had quite a good run on the men's and ladies, but Fred Perry, was the last man to win the singles. And I think I'm right in saying he still played in long trousers in those days, had a very small wooden racket, that nothing like the rackets they play with today, and is remembered today because he went on to put his name on a whole range of tennis clothing, which is something that has not changed today. Don't go to sleep. You'll be able to go home soon. That's one of the jewels of the airplane. Drive you crazy. What do you want to do next so I can think of it?
Go live. There's no time for that.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, the next question is that can you give us some more things about the tradition? You said something earlier, but
Yeah. One of the other unusual traditions of this tournament is that the All England Lawn Tennis Club is still a club. It is still a private members club that only has less than 400 members. It has some honorary members. Anybody who has won here gets a membership. But the other members, some of whom are local, some of whom are simply good tennis players, can wait 20, 25 years to get a membership. And one of the reasons that they keep the membership low at the club is that every member is allowed to buy 2 tickets for every day of the championship. And if they had too many members, nobody from the public would be able to get tickets. And it's very important to this championship that the public come in. So every day there are around 6,000 tickets that are kept back out of the 40, 45,000 that are sold each day for people who queue up. And they queue all night. You can drive down here at 10 o'clock at night and see the people queuing and sleeping and waiting for the next day to get their tickets to come in 12 hours later. And that's, I think, very English sort of thing to do.
on People's Monday,
People's Sunday, wasn't it?
yeah, but Monday.
Yeah.
For example, Goran won People's Monday.
Did he?
Yeah.
No, don't remind me of that.
Yeah.
The people's. That was after it rained off, wasn't it? That's right. Yeah. What happens if there is particularly bad weather in Wimbledon, and they cannot finish the championships in the pre-allotted time, is they have what they call People's Days. So sometimes it's a People's Saturday or People's Sunday during the championship. And when Goran Ivanisevic won 10 years ago, he played on the Monday instead of the Sunday, and all of the tickets were just sold in the street, and the atmosphere was electric. Absolutely full of tennis fans loving the game, not bankers and people here on very expensive tickets entertaining their clients. That's nice. I approve of that.
Can you this was first here by then.
The women, yeah, I can't remember the exact date actually. The women started playing, I think, in the 1920s. You'd have to look in my book. I wrote it, so I should know, but I can't remember the exact date. But it was initially, yes, men only, and of course rather aristocratic men who could spare the time, who had enough money to come and play here. Of course, it was a very different game in those early days. As I've said, they all wore long trousers. Men had to wear a hat and a tie while they were playing. The service was underarm until, I think, around 1900. So a rather different game than the one we're used to today, and of course much, much slower. And when the ladies came in, initially they wore long dresses, hats. They'd have been quite shocked, I think, to see what some of the girls wear today. I need a beer now.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.